Crafty Hope here and welcome. It is week 10 of my prompt project, which I'm calling Crafty Hope Prompts because it's the easiest thing. If you know all about it, welcome back. Good to see you. I am so glad that you are here to enjoy this. I hope you are enjoying it. If you're new, welcome. Let me explain real quick what this whole thing is. Basically, I realized that there are 52 cards in a playing card deck and 52 weeks in a year, and that would be the perfect opportunity for me to build up my own prompt deck and have a weekly challenge to keep me motivated. I participate in a lot of online challenges that have prompts and really enjoy it, and finally decided that I'll just make my own. There's no reason I have to wait around for somebody else's project. And I've invited you to play along with me if you want. There are a ton of ways to play any way you want. The way I am doing this is every week I'm drawing 3 prompts. So I had a list of 156 prompts. You can find that full list below if you want to just have a prompt list or play along, whatever. I've cut those out, put them in this coffee tin, and I'm drawing 3 prompts every week and then altering a playing card so that later on I have a full deck of prompts that I can draw from. And that's the idea. But I'm going ahead each week and using the 3 prompts that I have drawn to create a second project for the week, just to kind of have, you know, try those 3 things again in a different way. Once I've had a little time to think on it, because basically as soon as I draw these, I make my card. Now, if you want to play along, you can draw your own 3 prompts, you can alter a card, you can do an art journal page, you can use my prompts. There's a bunch of ways to play along. Just use that Crafty Hope Prompts hashtag, if you will, so that I can see what you've made and do that. I will try, I usually check Instagram almost every day, but you know, tag me if you do it elsewhere. So most of my links are below. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and draw this week's 3 prompts. And I will say that when I draw them, I give options of different ways you could use those or interpret those if you don't have those products, because some of them are very specific products that I put on that list. So I will do that, but if you have other ideas that I don't mention, please leave those in the comments below. I'd love to see how you interpret some of these. All right, so we're gonna go for it. I like to use this so we can see it. Make sure I just have one. Oh, and it's flour. Okay. And y'all, that can be anything. You can use an actual flour, like a dried flour or a pressed flour. You can use a artificial flour. You can draw a flower, cut out a flower, whether that's out of a book or an old calendar or any kind of thing. And of course my dog's going crazy. I'm sorry about that. So that is the first one. There are a lot of options, I think, with flour. Oh, I'm hoping she'll calm down. Okay, here is number 2 is doodle. All right, you can doodle your flower, or you can doodle something else. You can, one of my favorite things to do is doodle a face and then put flowers in their hair. So that could be a fun thing to do. Or you could doodle botanicals in the background and have flowers coming. Yeah, doodle is good. Or you can just do spirals, or what if you remember the little cube things we used to do with the 2 boxes we connected in middle school? Yeah, you could doodle that. Just doodles. All right. Letters, you could do letters and numbers. All right. I'm trying to, some of these have stacked themselves because of how I folded them, so I'm trying to unstack them so I can get something different. All right. Make sure it's this one. All right. Oh, a napkin. Okay, I have quite the stash of napkins. That's a pretty straightforward one. So you can use, if you don't have napkins, you can use paper towels. Napkins in general tend to be like 2 or more ply, and if you peel off the backing of them, you can use that almost as a transparency and just get the image if you use like a matte gel or a Mod Podge or something like that to glue them down. But If you don't have like decorative napkins like that, you could also just use a plain one to add texture to your background or to help smear out things, like use it damp, like the baby wipes we did. Was that this week? Was that this past week? It was the week before we did baby wipes. You can use a kitchen towel roll to get some texture, maybe in some gesso, because a lot of those have like a neat texture on them. So think about napkins several ways. Like I said, if you have any ideas other than these three, and also you could use a napkin with a flower on it. And doodle on top of that maybe. Oh, that could be really easy. Okay, so I am going to go grab some of these things and I'm gonna get my card out and I'll be back in just a second. That didn't take very long at all. So I went to gather things, and for flour, I looked over on the side of my desk when I finished sharing that with y'all and saw this little bit of trim that has flowers on it. Can you see that? I just did a swap with somebody and she sent that in her package, and I thought, well, I will go ahead and use some of these things she sent. So I'm very likely going somehow to use that flower trim. Doodle, I'm not even bother pulling things out. I've got pencils and pens and crayons and all kinds of stuff near me that I can doodle with. And then for napkin, I did pull out a couple of options. I've got a whole drawer full of decorative napkins that I like. These two, I think, actually came from the Dollar Tree. You can see they're kind of similar. And then this one, maybe the Dollar Tree, but I think maybe Tuesday Morning. They all also have flowers on them. So there's that. And I'm not real sure which one I'm going to use. I'm toying with it because I also like the butterflies on them, but I like the banner as well on this one. So I don't know, I might combine all of that. We'll see what happens. So those are my three things. I've also got this piece of an old map of Atlanta that I'm going to put on my card just so I have a surface that's not so slick. And when I put the napkin on there, I don't get the red showing through. That's the idea. So I'm gonna get started. Here I am. I'm gonna pull out my Mod Podge and a paintbrush and just smear that on there. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I put this on far too thin. I needed a little bit more Mod Podge on there because once I stick that map down, it starts to peel up pretty quickly. I mean, I fixed it. I add more Mod Podge and you'll see that. But in the past I have used my matte gel medium, which works beautifully because it's good and thick. And the Mod Podge I've just been using because it's a more economical version, I guess. So just keep that in mind that you may need to use a little bit of extra. Here I am going, what do I need to... Because you see that whole side there just peeled right up. And at first I thought maybe it was like the texture of that paper or something. But on this second side that I do the other side, I don't have the problem because I used more Mod Podge. That's what it comes down to. As I mentioned, I like to cover the surface because these cards tend to be really thick, or not thick, slick. This also helps thicken up the cards, but also if you don't have if you want to go straight onto your surface and not cover it with the paper and all that, you can sand it down to get some of that slickness off, as well as cover it with gesso. I think I did that. Did I do that last week? I think I did. I know I did it recently. Y'all, my brain, it has hit December now and we're in that holiday rush, and I'm a bit overwhelmed thinking about all the holiday things that need to be done, along with there's so much going online. Everybody's got a December prompts, and I know I'm adding to this craziness with this whole prompt project, but there are all kinds of challenges. And what else? There's Vlogmas, all these vlogs that are doing daily, and I haven't even gotten really started on them, and I love that. Last year when I fell on December 6th, I spent the rest of December basically every day watching. I had like 4 or 5 of them every day that I would watch while I was sitting in bed and trying to find something to do. I broke my ankle last year, so yeah, if that's not clear. Okay, y'all, once I got my paper down, I am using some gesso. I just bought some, it was Vicky Bouton or something. I don't know. I found it at Tuesday morning, and I'm using a palette knife to just scrape it on there. I don't know why. I felt like I needed to cover up a little bit of that map because I was delaying with the napkins. So I'm going to show you with these napkins. Sometimes you can pretty easily peel apart the back layer. Sometimes you can't find that corner. So I learned this trick. I don't know from who, but if you'll take a little bit of like washi tape or masking tape, some like low tack tape, and put a piece on either side of it, like one on the front, one on the back. Don't stick them together, and then pull. You will separate that, and then you can peel off your washi pretty easily. So this one, as you can see, is only a 2-ply. So there's the top decorative side and then this white backer. And so I'm peeling off that white backer. I did test it to make sure that was the actual final layer, that was just the 2-ply, and it is. One I'm going to pull in a minute actually has 3 layers, so you'll see that in a bit. So I'm deciding what part of this napkin I want to use, and I really like just the writing on it with like one of the butterflies. So that's where I'm going, and I'm using more Mod Podge just to get it down. You can also use pretty much any adhesive here. White glue would work, or your matte gel, or a fluid medium. Yeah, I don't know why I do that every time. And I'm just, you see, just smoothing it out a little bit, and then I'm going to tear around the edges. I don't mind if it's not exact on here, like if some of it tears off the front of it. In fact, on the other side, it's going to be a little torn, and I really like that it kind of blends into that background. Now I am going to seal the front of this using more Mod Podge. I will say that with Mod Podge, it does get kind of tacky when it dries. I know there are a lot of people that don't like using it in their art journals because the pages stick together, and that's why they tend to use like a matte gel or not put something over the surface of the things they glue down. I'm using it's a card, like a key card or a gift card thing, to scrape over the top to get it nice and flat. And I'm trying not to touch it too much because it's still a little tacky. So I'm going to dry it. That didn't help the tackiness a whole lot. Once it cooled, it was much better. But while it was still hot, it was very tacky. So I'm coming back in with more of that gesso and the palette knife. And look, I used that backer there that I had pulled off to wipe my hands. So y'all don't throw it away. You can still use it as a napkin. I'm such a reuse girl. I'm like, yeah. So I scraped that over the front, trying not to obscure that butterfly too much, but I kind of knew it wasn't going to be my focal. So, yeah. So I pull out this strip that I received from my friend Jennifer, and realized that this is a sticker because she had put like a little arrow on it, and I couldn't figure out why it was stuck there. And it was to help me pull this apart. So I am just going to pull the backer off and lay it down one side of my card. And I do use that little arrow to put it back because I figured she had it there because just as a way to start it. So I'm going to trim it and stick that little arrow back in. But I'm also going to tear off the backer. And now I have something else I can stick onto my card that's got those flowers. Waste not, want not. You see, I used the back of the napkin. I'm going to use the back of that sticker. Y'all, I'm such a frugal girl. Speaking of frugal, here's some instant coffee that I'm going to paint with. That is just dried up instant coffee crystals that I keep in a little yogurt container that I reconstitute. If you've been here before, you've probably seen it before. And I'm just going to paint on here, trying to pick up some of the texture, darken up the card a little. I like how the gesso acts as a resist in some places, so it's kind of neat. And at this point, I was like, oh, y'all, I've got to add some doodle to this somehow. So I pulled out my chunky Papermate pencil, and I'm doodling some flowers because, I've already got the flower stickers on there, that border, but I was like, you know what, I'll add some more flowers. So these are just really sketchy daisy type flowers that I'm just putting on there. Yeah. So, and they kind of show through. There's one in the bottom right corner that shows through a lot in the pictures that really kept catching my eye that I like. And I looked for a focal. I pulled out a couple things I didn't make y'all watch, but I happened to have this little Tim Holtz paper doll with these two little boys on it. And despite the flowers and the butterfly, I thought they were just the right size and perfectly cute to go on here. And so you could think of that like, boys like to catch bugs and butterflies are bugs and they like to pick flowers for their moms. So, it could be something like that. And there was also this little bit of rust-dyed fabric on my table. So grabbed it and decided I would use it to help back those boys. And then I grabbed my cracked pistachio distress oxide because it is the same color as those stickers were that I said, that floral border. So this helps bring it in some. And the stamp I'm using is a hand carved stamp, and it's basically one of my doodles. So that's Doodle in here again. So, and I don't know if the video is being a little jerky for y'all. It's being a little jerky for me, but that could be my computer while I'm looking at this. So I apologize. All right, so I got that little bit of Distress Oxide on there just to bring that color around at the page, make it more cohesive. And I'm going to stick this bit of fabric down using just my Oohoo glue stick, and I think I'm going to trim it and then stick my two little dudes down. And I want to tell you, if you are just finding me and playing along, or if you've been playing along and if you've missed a week or something, don't worry. You don't have to catch up. Don't use these prompts as they inspire you or as you need the inspiration. I know, like I said, that this season can be really tough with everything that's going on, holiday parties and family gatherings and things like that. I'm going to be lucky if I can keep up. I have jury duty starting next week, so I'm a little concerned about that. And the only person that really has to do it every week is me. Now, if you want to do it as your own inspiration every week, please go for it. But if you miss a week or are just finding me or whatever, don't worry about having to go through weeks 1 through 9 and catch up. Do it as it inspires you. If one of the sets of prompts inspires you, use them. If you need to skip a week because things are crazy, do it. But if you need this as a break from all the crazy, do that too. I just don't want this to be stressful on anybody or they feel the need to do every week. All right, so I decided to add some more doodles. I did some scallops along my rust-dyed fabric and then some just doodled like sketchy lines around the outside to frame it up. I tried a micron pen, but it just wasn't having it. I had too many things on that surface. So I used this, y'all. It is just a rollerball pen from the Dollar Tree, and I love it because it gets super bleedy when you add water to it. That's what I did and gave it some grunginess. And I stuck my little guys down again with just my glue stick and pulled out my Tim Holtz, what are they, the Small Talk stickers, and found a cute little phrase. I think it says, "I'm happiest when I'm with you," which I thought was great for this set of little boys who are probably brothers. And really, the younger one especially looks like he's really thrilled to be standing there with his older brother. So I thought it was super sweet. I did cut it down so it would fit on the card a little bit better. And of course, again, with everything that's on that card, nothing wants to stick or stay or print. So I'm gonna glue it down real quick. And if you've been following along, you know that I'm going to flip this over and work on the other side to add my prompts. So if you're new, again, let me explain that not everybody makes altered playing cards two-sided. For me, I feel like it's a waste of space. Why not use both sides if you've got it? So I make one side my decorative side, just like any playing card has one side that's decorative. And then the other side is functional. So this is my decorative side, and I'm going to flip it over and add my 3 prompts that will make it a prompt card for my use later. I also try my best to remember what order I drew the prompts so I can put them down on the card in that order. This time I started to question myself. I was afraid I had gotten them out of order, but I think I got them right. So I also do my best to even though this is going to be the functional side, use the prompts on this side as well, just to make it a little pretty. So I'm going to put down one of the flowers from that original napkin and then pull out the other napkin here. And that's when I realized this one is a 3-ply. So the first layer came off, right? That was it. That was me pulling it off. It came off, no problem. The second one, I had to use the tape trick to get that second layer off, so that I just have the one layer for the card. And I don't bother pulling the whole thing off because I really just wanted a small section with the butterfly there and some of the flowers. So I'm just going to tear it, trying to tear around some of the flowers. Now, y'all, I could have, I know, used the water trick and outlined it with the water and tore it easier that way. I was not super concerned about it. So I just, I knew this was just going to be the scrappy side that needed a little more decoration. So I am putting down my butterflies and flowers. And again, that's 2 of the prompts. Well, not butterflies, but flowers and napkins. 2 of the prompts down on this side. And I'm not real worried about the edges. In fact, I'm going to grab that card again and scrape it, and it's going to scrape off some of the layers or some of the edges like that. And I love that because, again, it exposes the background and makes that napkin feel more integrated into the page itself. And I'll trim the edges down there. Yep. Super easy. So I'm looking at this and decide, all right, I'm going to use that waste from the back of those flower stickers. And again, that brings flower in again. And I'll stick it down with my Oohoo, which I was surprised it worked. I was trying to stick the shiny side down because I didn't like it super shiny and I was concerned it wouldn't stick, but it did fun. So you'll never know unless you try. So I tried and it worked. And then I realized I had to bring doodling in, and that stumped me for a minute. But I ended up just grabbing this metallic gold marker from the Dollar Tree. Oh, I have an obsession, I think. And I'm just going around the butterfly a little, and then I'll add some dots, and that I'm calling that doodling for the most part. I'll add a little more doodling here in a second. But I didn't need that whole side to be completely decorative. So I did cut down the words I pulled, my prompts, so that they weren't the big pieces I had. I just kind of like went around them in a circular fashion. And I'll glue them down, and then to bring in doodling again, I will take that same Dollar Tree pen and do some sketchy marks around the outside of them, and then blur them with some water because I can't help myself. If something can be water reactive, I'm gonna do it. I can't help myself. So you see, I'm just being real sketchy going around them. I'll also use that pen to put the number 10 in the upper right corner, which is for this week, which is week 10. I just kind of want to keep track of it. And then with that, I will be done with this card. Y'all, I really like it. I was a little concerned. I'm puzzling over what I will do for my project this week. If you have some ideas, let me know. But we'll see. After, I might use that junk journal I just made for week 9's project. That's an idea. And I also thought of a couple things. For napkin, you could also use a fabric napkin and tear that down. And also for doodle, why didn't I think I could do neurographic doodling? I love that stuff. So yeah, some of that may come into this coming week. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and come back on Saturday to see what I did with these. All right, y'all. Bye.